There now recall. Okay, first up, we have a set of minutes. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the regular council meeting held on April 22nd, 2025 as circulated.
Sure.
Rod and Jerry, and we are off. Any questions, errors, omissions, edits? All those in favor? Yes. One down. Did I see Dave? Is Amy there?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 delegations today. We'll kick it off. Oh, before I start, any declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof based on our agenda tonight? And we do have accounts on the list. So. Okay, none noted. First up, we have Amy for the Waste Management Admin May 2025 report. And Amy, over to you. Can you hear us?
Do we have her?
Amy, you're muted.
She's on mute. I don't know if she knows.
Oh,
You frozen?
no, she's speaking.
Not sure.
Everybody go like this.
You're showing muted, Amy.
Just bear with, yeah, just,
I wonder if we've muted everybody.
we haven't. I'm just asking her to unmute here.
Mute.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you,
hear
Dave.
Okay. Over to you, Amy.
Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button for a
Don't you
change.
hate it when that happens?
Ah, saved my day, Dave. So pretty much ongoing as usual. Last cardboard load has now been shipped. Looking at the first mattress load before the end of the month. Almost done with the pole barn, getting ready to swing the bottle trailer. Everything seems to be running smoothly at this point. Other than that, if there's any questions or comments?
I took my son there Friday and we were throwing out a bag of like clothes in the diabetes donation bin. And there were all of these things set out. So he got like a bag of balls, a hockey stick, 2 like waffle makers. He's like, this is better than Easter. I was like, oh, we're going to the dump every week. This is amazing.
No.
It was all nice and tidy. It was all laid out beautifully. It was great.
Yeah, so we got a little reuse going on there, and then once we get the pole barn back up, we'll expand again, so.
Good.
It'll
Question.
be like Christmas.
Wendy.
Did we have a drone over the landfill a week or 2 ago?
So the Ministry of Natural Resources was flying around the area of the landfill on Sunday, this past Sunday, Mother's Day.
Oh. Oh,
They're just doing their first time in my 15 years, but they're doing their, because of the bear population last year, they want to make sure that there's not anything going on that shouldn't be going on around landfills, such as people baiting the bears and shooting them. So.
thank you.
Amy, I think I asked you this before, paint in cans. As long as it's dried out, can they go in the recycle or no?
Not if there's a chunk of paint in it.
Okay,
If the
so,
can is empty and dry, yes,
okay. Okay, thank you.
not a problem.
Any other questions? for me?
My wife will be happy, no?
Paint cans.
I asked the question, she wanted that.
Quick thing, Amy, on the bag tell, I just noticed that Brooks Falls have dropped quite a bit. Is that a blip or is that they're just kind of gradually going down?
It just seems to ebb and flow with them. It's hard to say where they're gonna be at. I don't know that, I think Mterra's finally got their route figured out, but other than that, that's not previous years, but.
All right, any other questions for Amy? Appreciate it. Thanks, Amy.
Not a problem.
welcome to stay around as usual. And next up, we have Mr. Creaser. Dave, over to you for the roads report for May.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. We're through spring with no significant flooding in the area, which is great. Our freshet was busy, but that's about it. Nothing crazy we couldn't handle. So that was great. But we're thrown right into immediately to this heat wave, and my goodness, it was dusty. Wow. Wow. So we look back at the weather forecast, followed it out pretty far, and with all that dry weather, we started preparing for dust control. So some of you may have noticed we've started putting it out. We are halfway done. We'll be 3/4 of the way done by Thursday, so this Thursday, and we should be substantially complete Wednesday of next week. The water truck's been going steady around. We've been sweeping and potholes and doing a little bit of ditching as well. So we've been awfully busy trying to get things sorted. It was noted that we don't have a proper packer for the culverts or transitions to put the transitions in the road. So we have bumps. And if we want to get rid of the bumps, we need we'll need a piece of equipment at some point going forward. According to the municipal standards, provincial standards, they both require compaction. And basically, when you have two different materials come together each other in a culvert or rock or anything like that, a frost taper is put in. So basically, instead of having an abrupt change in elevation, which creates a bump, you just stretch that out. So you have a gradual raise in elevation and lowering elevation, kind of blending the two materials together, and bumps are gone out of the road. So that helps lower the cost over time. So if we have surface treatment that's going up and down, get rid of the cracks, get rid of the potholes, lower the maintenance costs over time. So that's where I think what we aim to do is keep our roads better longer at a lower cost. So that's one of the things we're gonna be looking at going forward. The cost of that's probably about, the last one I bought was for Whitestone. I bought one for Perry as well. It was about like 13,000, and they last 20, 30 years with a Honda motor. I did get some information on a traffic calming measure for or solar radar speed sign, much like the one you see at Land O'Lakes. I've put one of these up before on MTO property, and they work well, and they do what they're intended to do, and that's traffic calming, slowing people down. They also track information if you want it, and you can give it to the police, so you know the best time for them to come out and park themselves there. That's good information. Not always necessary, because usually you get your intended goals by slowing people down just for the sign. It seems like it works a bit at the Land O'Lakes. I would recommend that if council was looking at putting it up, that a criteria be put in place before council considers approving a location, much like a community safety zone, which I understand we have one passed for the Katrine area, Doe Lake Road in Katrine. I understand that we have council passed a resolution identifying that as a community safety zone, so that would be a good candidate. And then future, if people are interested in it, I think that should be a consideration, having a criteria set out. So if it meets that criteria threshold, it could then come to council for consideration. Just a comment. Any other questions? Any questions on the monthly update?
Sure.
I had a ratepayer ask me in regards to Horseshoe Lane, in regards to the grading and the rocks and all that. Do you have anything in regards to maybe putting some crushed granite on there? Maybe help eliminate that a little bit?
Oh, I can go out and look and see if we can pick up the rocks first and foremost, just to address it immediately, and then absolutely could look at putting some.
Every year it's the same thing. I think the rocks are just coming to the surface all time after time. So
Absolutely. So when we do our gravel treatment, I believe a good practice is 3 inches for maintenance and 4 and above is capital. And that would eliminate that problem going forward. everywhere. You just don't have your loss of your surface, so the grader doesn't punch through. You still
Yeah.
get your drainage, and on the side of your road, when you have your road drain and a crown on it, the round on the side is very important to keep clear, and that allows the road to drain, so you don't get kind of a smiley face and your road kind of punch. So that's a good practice. Well, I'll look at I'll look
I
at that.
think the crown has been lost in time. So I think by adding a little bit, you'll help the residents out there. So you'll know once you see it.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
Wendy?
Dave, do you have any money in this year's budget for these two pieces of equipment you're looking at or not?
No, not this year. I think what we have, we'll see what we can get away with, and maybe even if I have to rent some for some of the critical spots, but we got a little packer. We may just do smaller lifts for now and see what we can get away with. We'll get the guys following the municipal standards, so the quality controls put in place every time. So as we move through and the work is done, you know what you've got. So it's 2025. I think it's time that you get some value for your money, and the ratepayers get some value for the money, and the service levels are good. So we'll try and keep that going up for their money.
Thank you.
Were you meaning the solar sign as well as the packer? Because I wonder
We had money in budget for any of them this year.
I wonder if we need to find the money for the solar sign this year? It's been an issue every
We
year.
actually talked about this. I think
Mhm.
Rod, you brought it up, having the same kind of signage as the school has in that community zone in Katrine, Dave. So this came up at council last year, at least once or twice.
Yeah.
Can we can we use our Parks and Rec budget for part of this, for part of the sign, considering it's a community safety zone, our park is there?
I don't know if that applies to signage on the road or not. I'd have to look into that, to be honest.
Not cash and lieu.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to look into that, cause I thought it was just for playground equipment.
Yeah, for cash and lieu, yeah.
Oh,
When I had talked to Derek earlier this year, no, it was last fall, about the sign in front of the Land O'Lakes. He told me the price came with, and I don't know, but he said it comes with two poles, so you can move it from location to location fairly easily. I didn't know what he meant by, like, I mean, if it's just a mounted on a pole, you can put your own pole up, but he told me his cost came with two poles so that it could be moved from location to location, just a question or a thought. And this was just like, according to Derek, you have the opportunity of putting it in two locations without trouble.
No additional cost.
Yeah.
I think we need it, but if it's not in the budget, how do we make it happen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may comment on that, the previous one I did, I put it on a trailer, so it was mobile. And it can be-
okay.
The under the Highway Traffic Act, well, the MTO has a little one-liner that says it must be a mobile unit to be on MTO property. So you get a permit for a fixed GPS location on MTO property on the side of the highway with the mobile sign that could stay there for years, but it has to be on a trailer. So that was put on an old one of the old steamer trailers. It seemed to be a good use for it. They also sell it with little trailers. It's handy to move it around. The only thing is the one year it got stripped. Well, I guess it got dumped over and the solar panel was smashed, and I guess we fixed the rest of it. That's what the only cost. People do mess with them a little bit, but not too much.
It wouldn't be on MTO property though, right?
We wouldn't need a
No.
permit. No.
Okay,
So I think just based on the conversation, Dave, it might be worth looking into for a follow-up that maybe we try to do this year, especially with the sign, the solar sign. Because we had talked about it before, so if there's a way to
Mhm.
finagle the budget a bit to make it work. Or come back.
And talk to Ally.
I was gonna smile on her face here.
I almost wonder if some people in the hamlet of like Katrine wouldn't like do a fundraiser to pay for it. It seems like something that's really been wanted for some time. So
I thought when we had the group here from Katrine, I thought we made a dedication that we were gonna do something this year. I didn't know what, we hadn't
No, I think
said
you're right.
what, but I thought we were gonna do something.
Let's do it. We'll find the money. Somebody builds a house.
It was $5,500, I think, there.
Yeah, that's what it was. 800.
Right, Wendy?
Tax.
No comment.
and I think
She won't be here at the next meeting. So.
I think for the first year to do the extra 500 as well to get the information would be valuable.
If I may,
Go ahead, Dave.
sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, the first year's covered, it's included, and that kind of hooks you. So the first year I got all the information, had it, and was nice to see, we could see, and then after that, council could decide whether or not it was valuable enough for the 500.
Okay.
Going forward. It's good.
So we'll leave that one with you. With the plate packer, Dave, will that potentially correct the issue on Ferguson Road coming in the back end of Katrine? I saw one or two comments on Facebook about that stretch in the early spring.
Well, that's exactly what's happening there. You've got a couple of things. One is there's clay boils coming out that should be kind of dug out and then transitioned out of there. And then the culvert, it's got gravel there in a straight trench that does no frost acts on it. So then everything beside it heaves, and then you get a dip. And then we fill it in with gravel, and then when the frost comes down beside it, then the gravel's got the hump.
Goes the other way. Yeah.
So going the other way. So the standard, the key is when you install a culvert, your base has to be solid. And if it's not solid, you put like clear stone or something, has to be solid. And then you pack up halfway up the culvert, that's called the spring line. It has to be packed. And once that's packed, everything else you throw on top locks it in. So if it's halfway up, it's locked in. So if you put pressure on the top of the culvert, which is round, it can't squeeze out. It can't go oval, it can't squeeze out, can't get loose, can't get anything. It's locked in there. That's the critical part. And then from there, there's frost tapers that are put in on an angle, and then no bump. Bump's gone forever. That and a proper coupler. I don't think the coupler that was put in properly, that's why it washed out. So the two culverts weren't connected properly, and the water just got around it and washed the whole road out.
Oh,
Little things like that, you spend all that money to put it in, and if you're going back to redo these things, which it's just so expensive to go back a second time, rip everything out and do it again. It's just, you want it to last my lifetime, done. 75 years, you're done. That's what you want. And your costs will start to drop.
It's longer amount of time, so
Any other questions for Dave?
it'll be 150.
I like how he explains everything.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, we'll
Great.
be smarter.
I'm going on Facebook as soon as I get home. Okay, thanks, Dave. Unless you've got anything else, appreciate the update.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to stay if you like. Have a good evening. All righty, next up, we have Marina, proposed land development. This is item 5 in your agenda package. The note from Bob Miller, but Marina, if you want to give us some background, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Trevor and I are here hoping to get support from council and guidance from, I'm sure, Shar. Once we continue on, hopefully we can continue on with this. I don't know the dates, but I don't know when it happened, but our property was rural and then it changed when Burial Road went through to get half loads off, I believe. It changed to CHMH.
Commercial.
Which means we can only have commercial buildings on our lots. Which we want to put residential, we want to sever our lot and give each kid approximately 7 acres each. In doing that, 2 houses will go up this year, which will help Jerry's thing about the signs.
There you go.
Yeah, we did put 2 houses up for sure this year. And the third is probably gonna be a bit because it's the baby. But we need to add residential, I believe, to the zoning for the properties where you put houses on. And I know other residents on the same road as us, for ours, want to do the same. I think they have 8 acres and they want to make another extra 2 lots on there, but they can't because it's commercial as well. Danica and Dave want to sever their property up for Blakely so far. And again, it's all commercial.
Okay.
That's all we're able to put on those commercial buildings.
And with commercial, sure, you could have a house, but it would be accessory use to a business. You
Mhm.
couldn't just have a house. Okay.
That's site plan, fine.
Yeah.
Is there? I'm so new, please excuse me, but is there any reason we wouldn't just change it from commercial to residential?
You could, and doing it case by case would be.
Yes, yeah.
The best,
Okay,
just keeping in mind that properties along Berrydale are still zone CHMH, so if the guy next to you buys a property and was put in a factory, that they'd be permitted to.
so but each of these have the required road frontage and everything else,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So I think Verena's intent is just to refresh a resolution that was passed in 2022.
Yeah, just on the back. And to make it as cheap as possible because I spoke to EJ Williams. That's the one I've spoken to so far. And to get the severances done for that property is $20,000 now. Plus, we also cannot give property to children. So it's gonna be about 150,000 in capital gains that we have to pay if it gets property.
Can you not sell it to them?
It still has to go fair market value. And they're saying, which is stupid. I think it's about $1,200 an acre when we bought it. And now they're saying the lowest is $7,500 an acre, but for these size lots, it's about $28,000 an acre. So each of these lots supposedly is worth about $200,000 in the government size. So we have to pay the difference of what we paid in 25 years ago to today. It's about $150,000 in capital gain, which is can't get around.
We can chat about that later.
That's perfect. And I'm sure there's gonna be other costs incurred too. So the cheapest route would be the best.
And this is just on the properties that are labeled here.
Yeah, like Trevor, well, we both own 227s as well, but I don't think. I mean, if we can do it all at once, that'd be great. It is 2 different properties, so I don't know if we can do it for both. It'd be silly to have that as commercial, it's never gonna.
227 has a house on it and number 4 has a house on it already?
Yeah.
Okay,
So 227 is where Trevor's living and mine's number 1, actually.
okay, what's on 4? Is that a barn?
No. I don't think there's anything there at all. Oh, no, that's just vehicles parked back there.
Oh, okay.
It's because we all own the same property, so vehicles get parked wherever.
So you want to change the zoning on 227 at the same time? Is that?
It can we be doing it at the same time for the same price? I don't know. I don't think you want to leave yours commercial.
Back when
You have
Bob
to.
suggested we turn this into a commercial corridor, I questioned, not over extensively, but I questioned how that is gonna impact somebody if they don't want to do commercial.
Well, and there's the whole road at that end is all residential.
That's right.
You take Berrydale Road up towards Pevensey, there's a bit of industrial happening up there.
Yeah.
But through this stretch, I can't.
With the housing crisis, I can't even figure out why.
So that's my other question, because you're allowed accessory buildings now, right? Like the better build homes faster. Could they not add houses to these lots without dividing the property?
No.
According to.
I think it'd have to be severed.
Just separate first.
We won't allow them to do accessory buildings even with, because you can have 2 buildings per property right now, can't you? 2.
It's commercial.
Housing crisis right now, we can't get enough.
Oh, but because it's, so if,
It's commercial.
Commercial crisis, it's housing crisis, and we haven't got enough place for kids not now, look at North Bay, they just got funded there now. Vic Fidelli was on the news there today for 880 residents going to that city.
so
That's a lot.
what if we changed the zoning, could they put more than one house on one property?
I don't care if commercial stays on, just add residential to it.
So are additional accessory or additional dwelling units or attached or within? So we're not in the city where you can have multiple
Oh, okay,
houses.
thank you.
Because we don't have municipal services. So if someone wants to have two houses, it's not two houses up here, it's basically a house and an apartment attached.
Yeah.
Or an addition that's attached that doesn't exceed the,
Or a guest cabin, right?
or yeah, that's a rule, guest sleeping cabin, yeah, that's an option as well. But again, that's going to be seasonal.
I'm so glad you mentioned this was 2022 because I was like, I don't remember this at all from 2 weeks ago. I don't. 3 years ago, I wasn't here.
Your intention is just to have basically residential.
Yeah, we
Residential.
started it in 2022, but then found out capital gains, I'm like, I can't deal with that, like, it's crazy. And back then it was 10,000, I think, for the severance, which would have been way better. But now the kids, like, they want their houses now. Back then, they didn't have any plans for houses, I just wanted to get them property up, like, what, why not, why you can, right? But now they want houses, so I'm like, let's crack on it, get it done. Hopefully.
That section of Berrydale, did we invest fairly substantially in that road? Because there's no half loads on that stretch.
No.
We have to upgrade.
Oh,
That we negotiated that MTO.
MTO did it?
Did that.
Okay.
and it just happened to be, we had a meeting in Perry Sound. The very day there was an accident and they had to use Berrydale Road.
Use Berrydale.
And that's how come we got that as no load limit.
Okay.
Cause it's the, it's
That was a
It's
emergency.
the emergency access, okay.
Can we get a speed sign?
That'd be nice.
How many houses?
$4,500.
That secondary highway, holy crap.
You got a stop sign that nobody,
Right.
the white line.
Just at each end.
Yeah,
I was like, I
they do it, pick road back and they do it.
create an accident.
Yeah, they do.
That's fine.
Actually, we should get Dave on that.
Other questions? Any other questions for Marina and Trevor on this one? Because
See
we,
where we're at, eh? There's two daughters across the road at Ferrars looking for lots that would like to build houses there. One's living with mom, one's living in Huntsville, would like to move up, contribute to your taxes.
Absolutely.
You don't make any money on that vacant land.
If this was residential, you'd have 4 houses, but probably within 2 years.
Yeah, there's 4 kids at our place that, can fund the money and put a house up.
I've got 4 kids I'm gonna send there soon.
Where are they gonna put them
I don't
up?
have enough frontage.
They can't afford to buy lots and get a house up.
So you try to give them
Yeah.
a little bit of a help, but
Well, the beauty is now they can put a smaller house up. In Armour,
I think your options
Yeah.
would be
and they can always add on to it after.
a resolution, supporting what Marina's proposing for severance or consents in principle, similar to 2022, or based on Wendy's comment with the amount of residential to reach out to the planner and do a specific area rezone. I don't
that
know,
whole stretch. is
for us. So your options would be
that'd be nice.
Marina taking.
So that would take care of the Ferrars.
Your consent,
And
or
Danica?
we do it as a municipality and do a certain area, because Trevor's mentioned 227 as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if 227 could be severed. I don't know what your frontage is.
It's to something, it complies in there.
But yeah,
Frontage.
but not to sever. 'cause you need-
No, I don't.
No, I can't get another, no, and I don't care to sever off that one anyways, it's just a.
But if you got residential, you could also put that second home on there. Not that you want to.
I just asked Shar,
Right now you
doing
can't.
any other updates of the zoning bylaw, like housekeeping type?
We are.
amendments?
Yeah, which we will.
Next agenda item coming up for allowing
Very nice of you to have
residential
to pay for
uses
it.
in the M zone.
There may be stuff coming up for the Pegs Mountain work too. So we'll probably be opening the bylaws.
Depends on how much of a time crunch you're under to have it done.
Well, the option, I guess one option is we could pass this resolution and still direct Bob to look at that whole area.
Bob's gonna push back on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
we don't want Bob.
Was it so before,
Realistic.
or was it full residential?
Oh,
It's houses.
Why can't we revert that?
There's a factory there already.
Yeah.
actually, if you went from there all the way up to the old stop sign, that's residential, basically.
Well, and we
Yeah.
weren't in the housing crisis when we put that.
No,
I think Darren Hewitt is trying to build too, just past North Pickerel. He's been doing it for 3 years. I don't know if he can't because it's commercial. He's been trying to put a house in there
Oh, that's,
across from Hans' old place, Hans Gulick.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for 3 years, but I think he can't do nothing else.
So the only thing is, it looks like 3.5. Is that like a flagpole?
No, that's, so we have just about 9 acres past the train tracks,
Okay,
which has to go with the center lot, number 2. For number 3, because I just put 3.5.
Oh,
okay.
It has to attach because there's an access from Berrydale Road across the tracks, so that has to remain in that.
Has to be part of that.
It would stay as part of.
The yellow line
Okay.
is my pretend road.
So do you also own this, or is this somebody else right here?
Where are we? So this is, no, that used to be ours as well, Trevor's mom's as well.
Okay.
And that's Joe and Sheila now,
Okay.
Clark. So we stop here.
So are you proposing the one that says 3.5 as a separate lot or is it?
No,
It's attached to?
yeah, it's attached to
It's-
3.
So it's, yeah, so
The
8.9
driveway,
acres plus 6.9 acres?
yeah, the driveway goes through
Can be.
lot number 3.
Yep.
So it has to remain with that lot.
Okay.
And we would have to just put shared access. That's what EJ Williams said anyway. Use as a shared access for all the kids to use.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
That's the wrong.
Right of way for on 3 and 4?
Yeah.
Because I said I wanted to split the train tracks up between the kids too, and he said, CN makes you bring up, you have to have an access per lot over the tracks.
Mhm.
It's about $1 million per driveway over the train tracks.
Oh, I got
So if
massive.
you already have one, leave it.
Yeah.
I suggest we move forward with the resolution and then investigate.
Or we can adjust the resolution to say add further. Investigate, looking at that whole stretch.
They also have Wayne Thornton's lots that are just up the road, just over the corner there, eh?
Yeah.
You know,
Those are
he's
rules.
not gonna be happy, yeah, those are rural there, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's fronting North
Yeah.
Pickerel.
So like you say, it's all rural, right from
Yeah.
one end right up to top of the hill. They've started one shop there, but I don't know what's gonna go on up there.
I think he did that because I think he wants to live there, but he had to put some commercial.
Yeah. There's no activity around there.
No.
He's done it. I think,
And I think we also have to have permission to, I mean, not that he's doing anything tonight, but permission for survey.
A survey, what do you mean?
EJ Williams said he needs support from, or a letter from council saying that he can, that we can do it that way.
You don't want to start it yet.
Okay, but when that comes, I'll leave that too, I guess.
Yeah, you can tell them, put you in the queue. You're gonna do the pre-con first and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
Yeah.
because he wanted to make sure how many lots. He says he couldn't remember Armour's thing. I said, as long as we have 200-foot frontage, I think we're good.
Don't spend money until you have to.
No, exactly. That's what he said, but just make sure you ask for everything while you're there.
Okay, so I'll read this resolution and I just doctored it up a little bit. The Council of Township of Armour hereby support in principle an application to change the zoning on the property municipally known as 273 Berrydale Road from commercial holding rural industrial holding CHMH to rural. It is more consistent with the surrounding land use. And further that we direct staff to review the entire section of Berrydale for similar change in zoning.
yeah.
Sure.
I think you're gonna get more tax dollars out of residential
For
than you ever
sure.
will out of commercial going up and down there.
So we got Dorothy and Jerry. Any other questions?
We gotta give Dave some money for his packer.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting all kinds of signs.
I still want my sign.
All those in favor? That's carried.
We just want snow tires.
So are you seeking a report from Bob on that?
So I just said direct staff, so I'll leave that up to you, how you guys want to handle it. Because that's,
Yep.
you could deal with them
We can handle it.
in whatever way you feel is correct.
Is this maybe that it's gonna be done?
Give it time. Yeah, and we'll see if we can get Bob's report in the next council meeting.
Instead of us paying for it?
Perfect.
And then the rezoning area include Trevor's. How far do you want to go down?
Yeah,
I'll send,
I couldn't judge from this. We'd have to look at the.
look at a specific area in the residential development.
I tried to touch base with Darren, see what he's doing.
That's what I was gonna say, because
He wants to put a house in there, but I don't know what's his zone there?
He's CHMH, but how far is he from you?
Just the next lot after the
He's
corner.
right at the corner.
Pretty much across.
You know where Hans Gulick is? He just passed away. The old decrepit house, right across the road.
They just tore that down.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet?
No.
Yeah, I know which lot it is. I
Yeah,
just
he's right at the corner.
picture it on here.
Yeah, 227 North Pickles, corner house.
Yeah.
He's
It
kidding.
used to be Matt Builders.
But he's There's a lot north of that on the opposite side of the road.
So we'll follow that up, but this shouldn't slow you up. Yeah, you should.
Should be a help for
Shouldn't slow
him
us up?
too.
Perfect.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, because we passed the resolution specific to 273, but then just directed staff to look at it further for the rest of the stretch.
As long as you just keep telling me what I'm doing, I'm in.
I'm here for
I
it.
have no idea. Learning, but no idea.
I'll walk you through it.
Perfect.
May I follow Marina out for 10 seconds? I'll be right back in. I'll be so fast.
Not even a 7-minute smoke break. I don't know. You don't need nothing else from me then?
Nope.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good night.
Hydro's out at home.
Yeah, Logan messaged me. He's like, did you not pay the bill?
When I was 1:30 this afternoon, it came on.
Yeah, Tristan's been messaging me, so I told him to call, and you're out too.
Must be this horrible weather we're having.
What?
I don't know why the hydro's out. I haven't got a notice from Hydro to say it's out.
Oh, we did get one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we got one. Yeah.
Logan's right upside. He can't play online.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
Tristan wanted to have a shower, so I'm like, call all the grandparents. And they're all out too. Yeah.
Next up, we have our accounts. Council Township of Armour approved the May 2025 accounts in the amount of $484,873.58 for payment, and the mayor and treasurer hereby authorized to sign checks for same.
Sure.
Rod, seconder. Dorothy. Questions on the account?
I had a few, but I called Allison and she explained to me.
See, the roads guys had a beaver issue.
Yes, relative road.
Is that where it was? Oh, that makes sense, actually. Oh, I know exactly where that is.
Those beavers were collected throughout. The invoice that's in there, that wasn't relative road one. It was like Owl Lake Road, it was all over.
Oh,
Not the relative one?
No,
That one's not included?
no, cause this is a invoice from before relative road happened.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
we haven't got the bill for that one yet.
no.
Speaking of beavers, I've been going back and forth to Magdalene a lot, and down there, just past Jeff Webb's place down there, there's a little creek crosses the road. Followers have been out there every day digging the beaver dam out by hand. Yeah, every morning we go back.
And it's back again.
It's back in again, yeah. They're gonna have to put a little perforated pipe in. And they'll dam up over top and the water will go underneath. They'll be good to go.
They could fix our housing crisis.
Yeah.
Any other questions on accounts? Okay, all those in favor? And carried. Next up, application planners report. So this is item number 7, and a note from Bob Miller.
So this one actually is kind of funny. Trevor actually mentioned that one lot at the corner where there was a factory being built, but nothing's been going on. The property owner actually contacted to inquire about having a residence there, and we indicated at the time that because it's zoned M, that residential is not permitted at all. You can have a 600 square foot area for a security guard and that's it. So with what's being proposed, that will allow for residential.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I do understand the concern of mixing residential with some industrial use. It can create conflict between the uses.
But we don't currently have any industrial on that road, correct?
Just that one building that I know of that was put up, what, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago?
Yeah, it's more, it's an exhaust fabricating place. Or like.
Oh, like the plastic one.
Metal fabrication.
Okay.
Yeah, because the thing that opens you up to down the road, somebody puts in some kind of industry that's noisy, smelly, whatever, and then the neighbors complain because they've got a house beside it. Or there's some potential environmental or health risk.
What was the reason for making it commercial before?
There's no low limit road, that's why.
We were trying to encourage
Corridor.
employment lands
Okay,
for job creation.
In order for employment to go out and transports travel the interior of our roads, they can't.
And there was a different need then, right?
Well, it was an opening of a meet, like it was future planning, but we can't plan what people are gonna do with the property.
You look at the other one with, along Chetwynd, for example, the rock, Highland Stone. So with the proposed consents that are going on there, the shop's being severed. But now with that, you'd be permitted to have someone to, what already exists is a home on the same property.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Bob mentions a few exceptions, but he's thinking more along the lines of financial institutions and fire halls and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But there may be other exceptions, right? That he'd have to think about in terms of I'm a little concerned about something in the industrial zone. It's kind of weird having houses in an.
Yeah, it is.
As an accessory use. Not as a primary, so if something's zoned as M, they're not gonna be able to just go and build a house that would.
So they can't just stick a house there and.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Same
But
as
I mean,
commercial.
in this case, where we are here, it just kind of makes sense because the whole road has got rural existing.
There are already houses on it, yes.
Use on it.
Like the likelihood of putting a factory between 227 and
Not gonna
1,
happen.
or it's, yeah.
This resolution's more general though, right? This is about all industrial.
You will still provide text, like a draft. We'll do what we did with, the septic one, and before Kayla circulates, she's put it in the agenda package. It's in the unfinished business. So she wanted, I know that you had wanted to see it before it went out. And if there was any, we'll do the same thing. So before it goes out circulated, you'll see the draft bylaw. And if you don't like the wording or you want to see exceptions, then we'll revise it and then.
Okay.
Because this one's not time sensitive. It's not,
Yeah, there's no rush on it.
it's your zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay. All right, so here's the resolution. Council Township of Armour support the municipal planner's recommendations to extend single detached dwelling accessory use in the rural industrial zone M in the township and request the municipal planner to proceed with drafting the zoning amendment bylaw. Mover. So Wendy.
I feel like it was Wendy first.
And
I
then,
agree.
and then Dorothy. Okay. Any other questions for Charlene on this one?
Would it be better to call it light industrial instead of commercial?
Might be.
Sort of a.
The commercial,
soft-
yeah. And still.
And
maybe-
define
and
what
maybe
that
leave the
is.
door open for strictly commercial somewhere else.
Yeah, I think he used the word non-influence or something like
Yeah,
that.
he likes that term. Yeah.
What is mine zoned? Katrina Road. Because it's commercial, there's commercial across the road and then there's residences on either side. And it would be another.
Whatever.
Rentals.
Mhm. But the storage buildings would all be commercial too.
Yeah.
Or industrial, is it, would they not be, oh, it's commercial, not industrial, I'm sorry, okay, sorry.
Okay. Any other questions on changing that? I like your idea, though. We'll wait till we get Bob's report back, but maybe keep it.
Yeah, sure.
Change the wording a bit. Okay, all those in favor? And that's carried. Council Township of Armour have written approved bylaw 31-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its April meetings, and we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Over.
Sure.
This, get Rod and then Dorothy. These were for meetings on April 8th and 22nd. All those in favor? Carried. Next one, I'll read this and we'll need some description, I think, for Charlene on this one. Council Township of Armour have written approved bylaw 32-2025, being a bylaw to enter into a site plan agreement addendum with Kennethine Velver to bylaw 62-2018. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Mover on that one. Wendy,
Sure.
Jerry. Okay, so this is on the Dill, correct?
Yeah. So that lot was separated two properties. And the lot was owned by the property owners on either side. They bought it together because they didn't want anyone to build. And they've split it down the middle and they're gonna do lot additions to either side. So Valveur actually had a site plan agreement that was registered on title. And one of the conditions for the consent was that he had to update his site plan to show that the lot size had increased.
Okay,
Nothing's changed. There's no new development. The lot's just
Yeah.
bigger.
now I remember it.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one, was it kind of weird because of a road they had gone through it or something?
Yes, and so he's created his own driveway now,
Yeah,
and it doesn't go down the middle of the vacant lot that was shared.
yeah, okay. Okay. Any other questions for Shar on this? More of a housekeeping, I guess. All those in favor? And that's carried. Council Township of Armour approved bylaw 33-2025 being a bylaw to approve a long-term loan application to OILC to finance the replacement of the North Pickerel Lake Road Bridge and to rescind bylaw 19-2025, and that we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too.
Sure.
Sherry. Seconder. Wendy.
This is because we're changing the amount?
That changed, but when I applied for it, I was told that I just use an old one that we've passed.
Okay.
Apply. Then I found out I'm supposed to have a meeting with them before I apply, and they have their own templates that they provide us because their wording is constantly changing. So there were some sections that were removed because the wording wasn't there anymore to go by their templates. So I fixed it to their templates. They said that bylaw is correct now, and now I can pass it and get it sent to them because the application's been done. They're just waiting for the proper bylaw.
So it's just a paperwork thing too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now I know they provide the
So moving,
templates.
Is this the one that we kind of panicked to have signed in time to get the application in? We had to have it.
No, that was for the debenture, fire truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a truck. That's right.
different loan.
Yeah, different.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Allison on this one? All those in favor? That's carried. And last bylaw, Council Township of Armour approved bylaw 34-2025 being a bylaw to rescind bylaw 15-2025. Being a bylaw to enter into a lease agreement with Greg Lobsinger operating as Taste Italy for part of Doe Lake Municipal Park. Over. I got Wendy and then I got Dorothy. So they're just changing their mind.
Yeah, there was they're unable to run two locations just based on current family obligations,
Personal, yeah, okay,
personal stuff, yeah.
okay. That's
Should we advertise it?
That was gonna be my next question, based on your decision. Do you want us to put that back out again, or?
Since there's a staff report later on,
I thought I saw an ad for it somewhere. Oh,
it's on our website.
okay.
Yeah, I think we should try and advertise it.
Yeah, why not?
I thought we had somebody else that had an interest in it, didn't we?
We had somebody else who had a concern.
Okay, any other questions for Dave or Shar on this one?
Back up item number 37. You get to talk about it again.
Okay. Looking forward to that. All those in favor? And that's carried.
I just had one of those pieces.
Was that right?
They have a butter chicken pizza. Incredible.
Okay, we're down into reports. Now, Allison, are you here for any other, just trying to look ahead to other items?
No, at the end.
It's fine.
Oh, the
Oh,
clothes.
okay, okay. We'll talk as fast as we can.
There's no hydro.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I know, we just sent a message here too.
Yeah, 8:30 it says, I think.
Glad the Leafs play tomorrow.
That would be like the Blue Jays that postponed because of hydro outages in the north.
Because Hydro's out in Armour.
Yeah.
This is a whole fire, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
In the northern, like it, Pickerel Lake Road part or.
I was gonna say at 400 Shetland, we've got that one that's right, been sitting on the line for weeks.
Yeah.
Must have fallen. Okay, we're into reports. First, we have the planning report. Anything to highlight here, other than what's already highlighted on the report? Sure.
It's pretty straightforward.
And then we have the building permit report. Things are getting busy. It's like.
A little slower than last year, though, eh?
People are kind of holding off, waiting to see if they're gonna do things.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a mad rush because nobody's traveling to the States anymore. They're gonna be looking for things to do around here. Next up, back political leaders forum. I think we talked about this one already. Last meeting, but those are the minutes. There's also some information on advocacy briefing note for political partners, which is based on the funding at the hospital and the need to get improvements in their base operating funding. So I'm not, there's really no ask in here. I don't know if they want us to pass a resolution at some future time to support it. I'll find out. Because I'm not sure what they're just, this is more of a report. But they may have an ask for resolution in the future. I'll find out. Drug Council informal subcommittee meeting of April 16th. Wendy.
And I forgot my notes from, in the East meetings, I'm sorry. I've got my brain in vacation, but I guess.
Your notes are here, wasn't it?
But you also discussed this in our last meeting.
Yeah, we did. So we had a meeting in Ryerson. The last meeting was at Ryerson and it focused on the fire agreement, which you do have a draft in here. There was a couple of suggestions made and I see that they've been incorporated into the agreement with the one was a clarification when they talked about existing fire hall. We wanted the address, so there was no confusion. So
Unknown caller.
Fair Canada.
Yeah, we got no name.
Vacation is calling.
So that's what the bulk of the meeting was the fire agreement. We touched base on the library. I don't think we have a consensus in the committee about how active and how much involvement the library board should have on capital and the new build. I don't think we have a consensus in the subcommittee group at this point.
Is that right?
Yeah.
More discussions needed.
Who was the person that's sitting for Ryerson?
Dylan.
Oh.
So I think that still needs some more discussion and we have to try and, because I think it's critical that before we get too far down this new build path, we're clear on what we feel the municipality's control is versus the library board.
Yep.
I think that was the major stuff. Can you think of anything else, Dave?
Well, the main point, I think it's important to touch on the communication side of things between the
Right.
committee and between here. And the idea of getting the minutes in front of all the councils was to have a clear message on what has been discussed at that committee level, just to kind of keep a lot of these major topics, whether it be the library or the shared service agreements, out in the open, transparent, and then all municipal councils have the opportunity to see what's being discussed, so that we're speaking more with one voice, or at least a common language, as we go back to the shared services meeting. Our next shared services meeting, which Jerry will be joining on behalf of Armour, I believe.
Yeah, where's that?
We're working on it.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be held at the senior center, I believe. I think it's what Denise said at the last meeting, but, so these are the minutes from the April 16th meeting. The meeting that Wendy was talking about was just to have us review the draft fire services agreement for the new build, to provide some comments and feedback. Again, that will be coming, Shard sent that out for everybody's review yesterday, just so that.
Oh, okay,
it's
so we
on.
don't have that back yet.
And so all the changes that were recommended were made. There was one other minor revision that was forwarded on that will get changed. I do have a copy of the shared services agreement. I think by and large, the subcommittee was pretty comfortable with how the agreement was structured prior to it being fully adopted. Once we get any comments or feedback from council, I think we'll just fire it by Ed real quick. Russell Christie to just make sure that Armour's interests are well protected, but Ryderson's lawyer did have a review of it and assisted with some of the structure. So we will make sure we get an opinion on it as well. But the idea was just to get it out prior to we're hoping to have a consensus at the end of the shared services, the tri-committee meeting to move forward with the agreement. Again, this just protects the newest, like the new investments, the new project coming forward in the event of a cessation of our shared services agreement as they stand now.
So go ahead.
I like the idea of, rather than a shared service agreement, an agreement for each of the shared services, like an agreement for fire, an agreement for library.
To move in that direction.
Yeah, and I think at the subcommittee meeting as well, it was interesting to see a lot of overtures around more regionalization behind a lot of the services, more collaboration between like what we see right now with mutual aid and fire, but even as far as arenas or even potentially library, how do we kind of cross-pollinate, share resources, share staff, share purchasing opportunities. I know the library, for example, they have their regional meetings with all the librarians and the CEOs, which I think is terrific. But are there opportunities for efficiencies with like the arena facilities, sharing those staff members, even equipment rentals, all that type of stuff? Like what type of efficiencies could we open up if the long range plan sees more kind of, again, cross pollination and mutual support between the different arenas? And I think Rod, you had brought it up in a couple of meetings as well, as all of these buildings were built at the same time, roughly have the same lifespan. What happens if and when they need to be replaced, right? That's it.
We also have municipalities that don't have arenas, right? Or that don't have a library. So, at this time Sprucedale pays in, but if they wanted to be part of a shared service agreement for our arena, that could be like Perry has a beautiful new outdoor. They will have a beautiful new outdoor, but they don't have an indoor arena, right? Magnetawan doesn't. Like, I wonder if we could have more people for some of these things.
If you put the summer ice in this arena, there was a fair amount of lobbying done to our partner municipalities to see if they were interested in contributing to that capital upgrade. We didn't get a whole lot, but.
And we didn't actually end up getting any contributions.
I just have one question. Armour's purchased the property and I don't recall it being in the agreement. How does ownership of the land work? Like, you're talking about contributions to the build. How does it work? Like, Armour's owns the land. Are you gonna start selling off pieces?
Well, that was discussed at the meeting, and then the notion was that we get an evaluation on that. We need to know exactly how much land they needed, which was provided in that report. It was just over 3 acres? Yeah, I think it was just over 3 acres.
Right.
So the idea was that there'd be an evaluation of that 3 acres based on the purchase price of the land. That would basically be the purchase price of that lot, of that property, and the shared service percentages would apply to that purchase value.
So we weren't moving forward with let's sever it, Armour, what you need, Armour still keeps it? Like the title of the land?
For land leasing, you mean?
No, for the land.
Yeah, but are you speaking about land leasing?
No, just the land itself. It's no different than the village, owning the land.
Right.
Well, every municipality would own a share of just that 3 acres. Armour would maintain ownership of the rest, right?
No, I think what you're suggesting is a land lease where Armour owns it. They lease it for $1 for 99 years for the fire hall or whatever. Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Like, I know.
It hasn't been nailed down yet.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're.
The way the agreement reads there for for sharing, it includes the building and the land at the fire hall in the percentages. So the way that, at least that's the way I'm interpreting that.
Yeah.
So if Armour is 48%, we own 48% of the land
Of the land and the building.
and the building, and Ryerson would own their 23% of the land
So
and
the
the building.
loan that's being issued, like, for the fire hall doesn't, we need a separate, they'll need something separate for the land?
No, but when they purchase, like when they put their 28% in, if the land is worth $100,000, they have to pay $28,000 for their 28%.
On top of the bill?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. All right, I'm
And
ready.
then they would then own 28% of it all.
Yeah.
The bill plus,
Gotcha.
That's how I interpret that agreement.
I mean, the minutes are, it's positive. It sounds like they're going in.
It's been very positive.
Yeah, I think it's been a great first couple, like a great first step, great, there's balance, I guess that's the way of putting it. We've taken a good first step and there's a good footing, so.
Yeah.
I think it'll be helpful when it comes time for negotiating the land for the library. If we have something already underway,
Something, yeah, we've set the precedent.
just comments of the land's got falls has a value that is. How we come up with it, I don't know. So I mean, it'll be good that we have a model that we're already trying to work with as opposed to jumping.
Well, Dave reminded us when we had that meeting that this, because we bought this from NTO, we can't resell that at a profit.
Right.
Otherwise, we
You can,
get money
yeah,
back.
it's good. You can sell it for whatever you want to sell it for, but any dollar you make over and above goes back to the MTO for a period of 5 years, yeah.
So I mean, that land value is gonna be very reasonable for all of us
Yep,
based on that.
yep, provided it all happens within, would you say 3 years or 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, but after that, then it's our land again, like whatever's left.
I guess what I don't know at this point is how critical moving forward on the survey is for that fire.
You got the tender out for the fire hall right now, don't you?
Yeah.
You might wanna
So I
get rolling.
think the several process needs to get
Need to get moving.
moving on.
Yeah, that was the whole point of getting getting them to send over the drawing and like the site plan more or less, or the draft site plan.
Once you get a definite from Ryerson as to what they want, then we could reach out to whoever did our survey and just ask them.
Yeah, well, we asked them
Carve it up.
shortly after the meeting, that's what, that I think I copied you on that as well, with just the concept drawing. With the acreage that they're looking for, so whether we bump that up a little bit, or I think we just need to get a solid, this is how much we're severing off.
Yeah.
And then get it surveyed.
And then get it surveyed and then we just get it registered and away we
Yeah.
go.
So if it's out to tender, is it our intention to have it built in 2025?
Mhm.
And the balls are rolling.
Okay, so Berksville is in their budget meeting.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
sorry, go ahead.
No.
Well, I was just about to say, like, the whole, getting the agreement to protect the grant applications, the funding, like that, a lot of that was to ensure that there was no hiccups in getting the capital for it. But I think to move the project forward on the project plan that was discussed, like, yeah, they had to move everything forward. So a lot of this is just kind of posturing based on our decisions from January to withdraw from shared services agreements. So they wanted to have a backup in case the agreements failed. But to your point earlier, it did bring up the notion of, do we now, does it make more sense to have individual agreements for individual services as opposed to all of them lumped into?
Considering we're involved in capital projects on more than one service, I think it's important that.
Well, allows you to bring more people to the table too.
Yeah, but a Perry doesn't require a fire hall. They have their own, whereas they might be interested in an arena.
Yeah.
Right? So,
And the library is a good example. In the library, we actually have to solve quicker because we only have 1 year
Yep.
based on our notice, not 3 years.
we did though agree to pay next year.
Yes.
Right, but it would be nice to get the agreement sorted out, if, for their sake as well, for
Yeah.
pointing to the
To
library.
the point of Brooks Falls and Ryerson, the resolution to pay is great, but a resolution is easily rescinded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no baked in security to that. And just as easily as it was passing, come back and say, you know what, changed our minds.
Change of council could change minds.
Yeah, so that's, I think that's all the more urgency to continue these meetings. Get the main purpose of this was to really dissect some of the, I guess, the challenges with the agreement and to move towards a stronger agreement moving forward. But to Mayor Ward's point, the library is of the utmost urgency as the clock is ticking.
So with the meeting that Wendy attended, Dave and Rod, and they know my concerns about the library. Will they be discussed? Will the tri-council meeting be? I want this to come up. I want it to dealt with. So later on is, what do we want to talk about at the tri-council meeting? I want to talk about the library. I want to talk about what the board is gonna do and what doesn't make it sense it's doing. Like, does that make, is that?
I think by and large, a lot of what we had chatted about has been brought up. I think that there's a fair amount of our discussions that's been reflected.
Yeah.
Been reflected in the minutes, not all of them. So I think that, to touch back on my point about communication, the idea was to get these minutes in front of council, and then these would serve as a statement of kind of where what the municipalities are discussing. So the library board, kind of similar to what we talked about in the office. So the library board can see the conversations that are happening, and there's not a whole lot of mysticism around what other partners are doing, right? And I think the point in the minutes that brings up, some of the concepts of, the potential, like some of the municipalities are seeing that there's potential for a longer range timeline based on some of the mechanics and relationship pieces that need to be worked out. There was also some questions with regard to does the library board have the authority to enter into owning buildings or property? That's an authority that has to be granted by the union municipalities. Has that ever happened? I don't believe that it ever has, but that needs to be, that was a point that was brought up that needs to be discussed. There was also a lot brought up about the past board member that had some significant experience with new builds. That had a plan, they've got their needs study done. So there's a lot of information that's already been created, but I guess the ownership structure still needs to be talked about. And if the municipalities decide such that the library board is going to, has the authority to be a partner, then to be an ownership partner, then we're going to have to map that out. Like, there needs to be the appropriate administrative processes, I believe, that will need to happen for that.
Excuse my ignorance, but if they have no funding, how can they own it? How can they pay?
So here's my conundrum. Several months ago, it was deemed at a tri-council meeting that anybody that puts in funds to the project would have ownership based on what they have contributed. So the library board has already contributed, in their mind, some monies to a study. So they are granted ownership of a small percentage of the said building. I see that as going to be a problem.
And it would
constantly.
It would be less than what I think it was $2,500 that they contributed.
No, it's $1,250, but now they're getting a rebate. But the point is, here's the point. They're going to do some. There's talk about doing some major fundraising. So let's just say if the library board comes up with $50,000, they've given better than 50% that Ryerson are planning on giving. They're going to own a substantial piece of ownership, percentage-wise. If we're basing it on, like, if Ryerson give $125,000 and the library board can come up with funding for $50,000, and they've already contributed 12.5, or they've committed 12.5. Like, they're going to own 50% more, or just over 50% of what Ryerson does. I see that as a problem. Our last meetings are spent on how the board needs to talk to Dave or the engineers, or the input that's coming from the board, I think is a waste of my time, because I don't see it that way. Months ago, we had originally, and a long time ago, when they kept using Perry as an example, I said, Perry built the building with no input from the library board and said, here's a room. If you want it, it's yours. They didn't ask them what they wanted. They didn't ask them how to build it. They didn't ask them for any money. they got the building, and that's what I thought the three municipalities were doing, was we were building a building and we were gonna present it to the library board. So right now, the library board feels that they have contributed to it. Through my conversation was, I said, if you're gonna put money into this building, ownership will be based on your contributions. So now the library board has put funding in, they're gonna own. And I stand behind that statement because I made it. It's gonna be a problem, and I think the sooner that, is my opinion, we need to tell the library board that the ownership of the building will be the three municipalities, or four if there's another municipality wants to kick in. But the ownership and the direction of how it will be built will be manhandled by Wendy's committee, or like Armour was asked to look after the project. It wasn't through direction through the library board. So back on board, I think we need to give the library board their money back and say, you save that for furnishings, things that you might want to put, you want to do this or you want to do that.
Leasehold improvements. Yeah.
You fundraise for new something that going in, but do not fundraise. I'm against them from fundraising for a building. I'm against the idea of them sending the delegation to Dave to say, okay, where do we stand now? What do we need to do?
10%
How do we fill applications out? That's the step we're at the library board. It's like 40 minutes of my time is like, I didn't say boo, but I'm dead against everything that's going on from this perspective.
I think some of the discussions that have been had as well is that, if they have ownership and they have a say in how things like that, I believe I'm to get a letter requesting a meeting. That's where they're going to present that they do have an engineer, they have their needs, they have everything else. But I think some of the concerns that were raised at the meeting were that at the end of the day, the library board, they're not elected officials. They don't have the authority to tell a municipality how to spend their money. And if they're boots on the ground for the planning process and all that, could it be presumed that they're going to have influence on how municipalities allocate the dollars that they collect from their residents?
And the Library Act is clear that they cannot have real property.
Is that right?
The library board cannot own real, unless the three municipalities grant them that privilege. And that's the question that Dave has is, have we ever at any point in time over the past 25 years granted that ability that the board could actually?
Was there a resolution, Rod, that that was before my time, but was there a resolution stating that you own what you pay for?
That you what?
That you own what you pay for?
No, it was just a verbal comment. It was just a general conversation and everything. Armour was not gonna put any more money into something.
No, understood. I just want to make sure it wasn't a resolution.
I do find it concerning too, when you have a partner. I mean, in 25 years, we decide that we're building another new library or whatnot, and we have to buy out the library board if they're an owner,
Yeah, it's
right? Or like, yes, I don't think it's a good move. I think we should be on the deed for the current one, but that's too late, whatever. But I don't think we should be adding extra agencies to a deed or boards to a deed.
Yeah. And as I say, I don't think we can unless the three municipalities agree and grant that privilege to the board, so.
So I'm suggesting that item needs to get dealt with.
It does need to
rather than-
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it didn't come up. Short answer.
It's a long way around.
Yeah, the sooner the three municipalities, and you know what? From what you just said, if somebody doesn't agree with that, two municipalities still have the vote. When it comes down to it. And I am not in a big, like, it just seems to be the library board meetings are a waste of my time because I don't support what they're promoting or pushing forward with. And I think they got astray. Like at one point they did agree. Perry, like the concept that Perry gave them a building, they got on that. And then all of a sudden, we gave money, so we are entitled to ownership. And it's like, oh, it got derailed real quick. Like in my opinion, it got a new spur of life that shouldn't have been entertained.
And I think they were just trying to show like a vested interest. That's why they offered the money, but then it's kind of
Moving
taken another
forward.
ownership now.
And moving it forward, they initiated, it was like, okay, put your money where your mouth is. There it is, we're stepping up.
I don't really blame them, but I think it's time to get the library act out. Define here, you can't own it, here it is.
And it's caused confusion, you know, when we first brought up the idea of, you know, are there other financial commitments from other partners that are going towards this build? Well, and one of the parties that came back and said, well, we're waiting to see how the library is gonna get this money. And then the larger question, the library board's gonna get this money. The larger question came up, well, is it their responsibility to raise these funds? You know, are you expecting for them to come back with a bag of cash and then we build them a library? I mean, I think the mechanics of the arrangement need a lot of work.
Yeah.
For sure.
And everyone needs to be on the same page for it, because I think it's the same thing as a tri-committee, you know, the reason why we formed this committee. You know, there was just too many discussions happening in too many silos, and then when we all come back to try to get on the same page, we're in different, you know, we're in different time zones.
And I'm not sure that the three councils are thinking the same way when it comes to ownership of the library.
Time to push reset.
Well, and I think, you know, that it will come up at that, I think prior to the tri-committee meeting or the tri-council meeting, that the last staff report that I'd sent out had a few different options for resolutions for avenues that we could pick from, you know, move forward with the existing site, pick how we're gonna deal with the foundation. Second one was pick a new site, and the third one was, you know, we're like, let's wipe the slate clean and never start over, or like, I guess the terminology was abandon the project. To date, we've received a response from the village of Berks Falls with the notion to go with the helical piles. You know, Armour had tabled the resolution, so that's still got to come back. And it was my understanding that it's tabled at Ryerson as well, or it hasn't come to council
I
yet.
wanted to know who was covering the cost for the groundwork ahead of time.
Right, and it was reiterated at that meeting that there had been no further discussion about any other contributions for the groundwork.
That's right.
So it's like, this is kind of where we're at, and so that even if the library comes forward and says, we want to know where we're at with things, that's where, what we're gonna tell them, you know, we wanted a decision from the three municipalities. We've gotten one of them in, and the two others are holding at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's good progress.
But I think it's
Good
also
we're
good.
tackling,
Positive, like.
it's good that we're tackling the library.
And this is the next meeting that I gotta go to.
Yes,
What are they gonna be discussing?
You're picking a library.
I haven't got an
And
agenda
deciding.
for that yet.
Well, the next library is, the next is just to take, I think it's the next meeting is gonna be to review the,
Fire.
to review
Fire.
the fire and review the agenda for the tri-council meeting. And the focus of that meeting is to ensure that there's productive discussion and fulsome consideration of the topics we need to consider. So it's really just to ensure that there's, you know, that those conversations are fruitful.
Yeah, because that's a good point. What's the tri-council gonna look like? We've got to make sure we're on the same page for
Well, and
that.
provided everybody's reviewed, you know, all three councils have reviewed, you know, the minutes.
Yeah.
And we can see where the discussions are so far. I think that all of the representatives for the subcommittee brought the feedback from who's been discussing
Yeah.
what, or at least the online and offline conversations. So hopefully we have a bit of a better understanding of where everyone's at. If there's opinions that are exchanged at the tri-committee meeting, then hopefully I always say tri-committee, Judy, put that in my head years ago, Judy Costello, sorry,
Oh, yeah.
tri-council.
The meetings are good because like they said, at a tri-council meeting, we come away with our thoughts. Berks Falls goes away with their thoughts, Ryerson goes together with their thoughts. But when we go to the next tri-council meeting, oh, the silly art, nobody's done nothing.
Yeah.
Because we thought of a different path than they have. So it's good that everybody sort of gets, oh, we've discussed this and we've discussed that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a heads up as opposed to just accusing everybody of not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I think the idea is that what leading in is to look at the tri-council coming up, then the next one will likely be a debrief, and then we've discussed doing some planning for how we, you know, setting some timelines and some lines in the sand for when we want to complete certain tasks, right? When we want to have feedback for, you know, mechanical changes to the library agreement, and then, you know, the other agreements, so on and so forth.
Good. Okay. Planning board, very quickly. We had 4 hearings, but we also got caught up in our financial reporting.
Oh,
So we are now up to 2024. Actually, we're right up to date because Kim has taken it over fully. So we reviewed all the financials. That's the good news. Bad news is we lost money the last 2 years. So the other thing we looked at was an increase in the fees, which is kind of ironic when the government's trying to push everybody to get away from development fees, but the fees were 2014 was the last time they were reviewed, so they were so far out of date. So we came up with a new set of fees, and right now Linda's looking at that just to make sure it's rational for the next meeting. So I think we're pretty close to having that.
so she'll be looking at what the fees are charged in the
She
surrounding.
did. She brought 3 or 4 examples, Perry Sound and
Yeah.
somewhere
Just
down
north of us.
Muskoka, one north.
Yeah.
So
You do want to make sure you're sort of,
and she says some things are different. Some things are really easy to do for her. Other things are a lot more challenging than they might be in other areas. So we're trying to be as rational as we can, but at least it's kind of got the whole thing back on track.
Yeah.
Next thing is trying to get our minutes up to date, but baby steps, we're getting there. Library board, is there anything else other than what stuff we've already talked about, Rod, that you wanna?
No, we spent a lot of time talking about the new build. The other said the film week was well attended. One thing that was pretty neat was the reading award that our library got is based on, I may get this not 100% right, but I think it's our Nieves's summer student that puts together the activities, and then they have to present what they did for the summer or what programs they put on. And we were awarded, the library was awarded $2,000 on behalf of what the library puts together.
Like the summer student got received a grant for the library because of the fantastic work the summer student did.
I think Nieves is.
Go ahead, Mavis.
Yes, thank you. No, you exactly what Rod said. Our student last summer applied for an award that is given to work that is done throughout the summer towards accessibility, reaching out to the children in the community, and so on. And that is nationwide, because the TD Summer Reading goes from coast to coast to coast. So it was quite terrific when we found out that wonderful Lily Kite received the $2,000 award. So what I offered the library board is to consider using that money towards the student and to making sure that the student was coming back and continue doing the fabulous work that she does. Yeah.
And that's the part, sorry, I'm glad Nieves said that, because it wasn't just a local award, like from coast to coast. That's pretty, that's phenomenal.
yeah.
Excellent.
Today, there was a fantastic therapeutic touch workshop at the library. I went in vibrating and left like, oh, this is lovely.
Is that up there with fish tickling? Like,
Completely different. From my understanding of fish tickling, completely different.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed that, Dorothy. Yes, it was lovely.
excellent. Anything else, Rod, on the library?
No.
Okay. Next up, we have the East Home Report. I don't know if George had anything to pass along from that. Sure, okay. Got all the numbers there. Oh, sorry, I missed East.
Yeah.
Back to you, Wendy.
So Dave's report is here. Fairly short meeting last month.
Shorter than the one before anyway.
Shorter than that before, which dragged on and on and on. Trying to think the highlights, I'm lost without my notes.
Because no, I didn't get minutes. Usually you read the minutes.
Yeah, his report's here, but
You want me to cover the major highlights?
yes, please.
Sure.
Sorry.
Not a problem. So a couple of things with the ACE board agreed to jump on board with the new RCIP pilot program, which is the reiteration of the RNIP program, the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot. So the notion there is that the North Bay Chamber of Commerce leads their program to help support immigration or help support newcomers in getting jobs. So the old catchment area ran to, there was a weird wedge that kind of drove through Burkes Falls and it ended just past Commercial Drive. Now all ACE member municipalities will have coverage, so their employers can benefit from that. And if they have newcomers that they're looking to get put through the permanent residency status, they can do that. So that was one of the major resolutions that was passed there. Some successful business support events. I won't go through word for word. I guess the next big piece, just in terms of understanding what the priorities are in all of our member municipalities, Courtney and Sarah, staff will be going to attend one day per month in each of our partners' municipal offices, and hopefully carving out time with municipal staff to understand current priorities based on the dealings of council meetings, just to gain an understanding of where value is seen, where additional efforts could be focused, and other projects that we can help pick up and help lighten the load or bring value to our municipality. So that was another major piece. There was some discussion around some changes to the shared service agreement clauses, and some updates on the transition of the shared director role and the training that current staff are taking to prepare them for the future role. So there are some pretty interesting things there in tourism, promotion, events, and partnerships that we have going on with Explorers Edge. I'll leave that up to you to read.
There was one good news story too, and we don't know what the business name is, but there was a business that was looking to relocate somewhere. And they saw one of our videos about what's happening in Almaguin, and they have relocated their business up here. They hired some staff and they've become a brand ambassador, I believe.
Yep. Well,
And
they attribute their move and their choice to make their investment, I believe, in Sundridge
Yeah.
entirely on the promotional content that they receive from Almaguin in the GTA. So the paid advertising worked.
Really good news story about marketing and Almaguin's name is getting out there. So I just thought that's fantastic to hear that. Yeah.
Lots of positive feedback, just anecdotally on having the ACE members go into the different municipalities. I think I've heard from 3 different municipalities that they thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea.
Good. Anything else, Wendy, on?
No,
ACE?
that's all I could.
Okay, now we can zip through East Home. Numbers are there. Almaguin Highlands Health Council from May 1st. So we had Nicole Porter, actually Nicole lives in Green, and she's with the Alzheimer's Society of Muskoka. So she came and gave a talk on also very interesting stuff. Finding Your Way Ontario is the website that she was referring to, and some of the things they've been doing, but really good information. We had a follow-up item from Burkes Falls. They are, to get back to it, they have apparently received a couple quotes to do an engineering study of the 150 Houston Street building. They mentioned a price of 6,000, which sounded really low to me. So I'm not sure how in-depth it's going to be, but they're still waiting for the quotes, and then they'll come back to the Health Council and we'll figure out how we're going to split it up. Presumably we'll just eat their 10% or whatever to get it covered. So that's at least moving along. I did spend some time talking about our plans for the Peggs Mountain location and beside the fire hall. So we actually showed them what Greystone had done for us, just to kind of set the table for that. And that leads into the discussion around, we're actually going to hopefully hold a healthcare summit in September. And the idea is to pull in all the healthcare providers from down in Muskoka up here. Anybody, whether it's the Y or whoever might be interested in this discussion, and not just talk about this facility, talk about all the facilities in the Almaguin Highlands and where we need the services. So I presented to the Muskoka Almaguin Ontario Health team this morning. And I've already got a fair bit of feedback, so it's gonna be dicey trying to get something done for September because it's a lot of work. But I've had 2 people volunteer to facilitate that for us, which would be great because that's gonna be the bulk of the work. And I think we'll either have it at the Perry Community Center or at the KCC. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to.
You have to book it now.
I'll have to talk to Danica and try and get it booked. Because we need to have it in person. It's not, you can't do that kind of thing remotely. So
A
that's,
good number of years ago, we did something similar to that at the arena.
yeah, I was actually, I think I helped run that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in
And that was good
2010
because a
maybe.
lot of people didn't know what other people were doing.
Exactly.
You know, and
That's half the battle.
phone numbers were, here's my phone number. here's my phone
Yeah.
Like, it was really good.
Yeah. So that'll be, no date set, but sometime in September. Originally, we were gonna try and do it in June and we just, there's no way. And then the other business was, I think it's in here as well. Oh, it's in the email, but the Muskoka Almega Ontario Health Team name officially took place on May 5th. So that's changed over. That's it for the Health Council. Any questions? Next up is the KCC.
Our last meeting until September. We need volunteers for June 24th and June 30th to make hot dogs for the last ball hockey and the last soccer night. I forgot to go last year. I believe somebody else also forgot to go last year. But so it's a Tuesday night, I believe.
I looked after things.
You did, we heard, yes. But
I
hopefully
covered it.
there'll be more of us there this year. Is it a Monday? It's a Monday night, right? Not Tuesday?
24th
It's-
and 30th.
It's Monday. They're Mondays. So yeah, just volunteer. They were hoping that somebody from here could help with that.
One's a Tuesday, one's a Monday.
Oh,
24th is a Tuesday.
the 30th is a
30th is
Tuesday.
Monday.
Oh.
24th is a Tuesday, June 30th is a Monday.
Is it 24th, the council meeting?
Yep.
Yes.
I feel like it wasn't the 24th. I feel like that date has been written down wrong. I feel like it must have been the 23rd then.
Yeah.
But ball, hockey and soccer are.
On different nights, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to help with one, but the other potentially. So Jamboree is on here and I meant to email Danica and Melissa. We had discussed no longer holding Jamborees because they're losing money every single time. But then after I left, it kind of bothered me a little bit. So I was wondering, and I guess originally the bands were by donation. So we're now paying up to $400. The municipality is hoping that they get covered. And then we also pay our bartender. We also pay a lot of things. So I thought maybe we could potentially offer like a Jamboree committee, the space for free. You can have the space, but you have to organize it. We're not gonna have Melissa and Danica organize it and pay a bartender and pay the band and pay for the food. If we just said, if you wish it, you have to make it, but we'll give you the space for free. Would that be a kind of nice
We have
compromise?
to update our fee bylaw, because our fee bylaw is pretty.
Well, if they were a committee of council, like if the Jamboree had a committee,
The Jamboree is part of the KCC, so they don't get charged.
yes, yeah, we pay for it all, right, at this point in time. So I was thinking if the community feels very strongly that it still should have a Jamboree, we could kind of leave it in their hands.
Are they well attended? They just
No.
lose money? They're not well.
43 people came to the last one. Sometimes they're like better attended. That's why we've been reducing.
They did.
There's kind of-
Having just an annual.
Yes, we did, yeah, we did discuss, but I thought that if the feedback was that these 43 people are quite upset that we're no longer doing this, we can just offer them the space and they can kind of organize a band.
We could have karaoke night.
Yes, yeah, we can do other things too.
And we could all watch Dorothy sing.
You're gonna want earplugs. But so I don't know, I perhaps in September, we'll discuss that as an option. I just felt badly being like, sorry, only 43 people came, surprise, we're all done.
Well, what's that trend though?
I think it's poorly attended every day. We had gone from one a month from September till June to one every 2 months. And then one of the Jamborees became the carnival. So we just had bands for different reasons instead, and we've reduced them. But the thought, I think, was when we reduced them, we would increase the amount of people coming to them because they were less frequent. Instead, they just continued to trend down.
I'll chat with Danica, but.
Yeah, perfect. But this, like Danica said, we broke even like on the bar, we paid our bartender with the bar sales, but that wasn't including the actual price to purchase the liquor and so on, right? So we broke even on the band by donations, but we lost out on the rental of the community center for a Saturday, right? So we're not breaking even. We're losing about $500, I believe, was what we quickly estimated. And then there's Danica and Melissa's time to organize it too, right? So if there are other options, that would be great, but at this time it's.
So before we had Danica and Melissa, who organized them?
The KCC wasn't run by the municipality.
Right. So it was the group of volunteers.
It was a group of volunteers.
Yes, yeah. So I wonder if we kind of put it back in their hands.
But I don't think my understanding is Danica and Melissa don't attend the jamboree.
Oh, they don't, no.
No, they don't do, I think Doreen does most of it.
Should we pay her, like a volunteer of like $50
Yes,
to be at the door, but we do pay our bartender.
yes,
And Danica and Melissa arrange for all of the food ahead of time.
yeah,
um,
and I think the food's been diminished too, so there's not.
Oh, yes, they,
Call. The seniors some of them used to make food and.
so you're not allowed
They're
to.
not supposed
And that was the other issue, is that it has
So
to
they
be.
would go to the KCC and make the food while they were there.
That would be permitted, but it can't be made and like potluck can't be done. Easter was well attended. Danica talked about how other places around, or like there was something every day of the weekend, but ours was still well attended, so they're just gonna leave it status quo. Our sports are great. Berks Falls is doing kind of the opposite ages for ball hockey, so it worked out well. I think we have the younger group and they have the older group, or maybe vice versa. Cornhole is still really well attended and making tons of money. Baseball tournament is taking place. We've increased the price for the baseball tournament. I believe they're going to be asking, but maybe at a later date, for a liquor license to serve outside. Again, in a confined area. Summer camp is almost full. This year, instead of hiring a DJ for the gala, Danica is going to use her equipment. They're checking resources or references rather for Pam's catering. Jamboree, Heritage Festival. We talked about placement of things and moving things.
Same.
And then Shar stepped in.
Well, they had a site meeting today.
Yes, so.
I think we're gonna bring the cars in by the arena,
Perfect.
that end.
So we're gonna have volunteer t-shirts. They're gonna try to get a side-by-side for like booting around. I think they should just use horses, but whatever.
Tim Barkwell has when he brings it and just, I told Danica.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
She wasn't keen on borrowing one. Because I guess she borrowed her brother's for the Santa Claus parade and it broke.
Yeah, that would be concerning. Food vendors, rather than all together, are gonna be apart this year. I guess you could speak better to this. And then
That's a great idea.
we had discussed reaching out to Joe Reedman about moving the fire trucks, but done now. They're putting the tents in, and Beaver Creek Institution is going to come and put them all together. And then I believe they're also going to be used. Oh, there was conversation about wanting them. I believe the Agriculture Society said they had to be removed by 6 p.m.
I've heard of nothing of that.
Oh, that's what Danica had mentioned.
Okay,
I've got a
so,
resolution authorizing us to use the land.
but, so they wanted everything, I'm not sure whose instruction it was, but that everything be cleared by 6 p.m. So on the day of, and Danica's concern was that it's not possible to have that tent removed by 6 p.m. on the Saturday.
But where is it? It shouldn't even be on the village's property. It should be the agriculturist.
And that's why I thought she said the Agriculture Society said we needed it to be done by 6, because I was going to see if I could speak to them to see if we could just get permission to have it there until the Sunday, where I think it was the Monday that Beaver Creek needed to come and remove it.
What tent are you speaking
A
of?
huge outside tent.
So Haggie's meeting is Thursday night.
Who's scheduling?
We already have it. It's like a 60-foot tent.
Oh, it's yours.
But the Beaver Creek is sending some people up to like actually put it together. And they're putting it together at the KCC first for other events, and then they're moving it just for that day, but they can't take it down that day. So they were gonna go in on Friday to put it up. Danica and Melissa are going to sleep there. But yeah, the concern was they couldn't have it removed by 6, but so they're meeting Thursday. I was hoping to to just get, like, we can make sure everything else is clean.
Where she's planning on putting that big one.
I don't know. I think that's everything.
Hopefully away from the wet area.
Yes, so summer's all booked up for the day camp.
Volunteer to flip hot dogs on June 30th. I put it in so I don't forget it.
Okay. If I'm not there, could you send me a text? Because I also forgot last year.
Okay, thanks, Dorothy. Next we have D7 minutes from May 8th.
I don't have all the minutes out yet, but this is what happened. It was a very short meeting. I didn't have any deputation or presentations. The chair had nothing to say. The chief administration officer, I'll send the minutes out to everybody. It's the big blurb of what happens during the course of the month. And director of finance, everything was going good. And the main discussion was the Esprit Place Family Resource Center and an operations update in regards to all the brand new renovation that just happened. All good news. And the early development instrument EDI results, that'll be in what I send out to everybody. And we didn't have any in-camera issues. Other than that, it's just the ordinary overdose report. Labor market group that I think we get elsewhere also.
Yep.
And the monthly jobs report. Other than that, it was short meeting, less than an hour. And I was tired. Then I realized I haven't sent the minutes out yet. I have to do that. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Next, we had the Almeguin Community Hatchery Program meeting of April 28th.
Yes, we all had a beautiful meeting here and just trying to get our executive all in line in regards to our 10-year plan with the ministry. In regards to our 3-year license now that we don't have to write every year and get a license. And also our 3-year scientific study for a lake to put walleye in. And 500,000 fry will go in this year, 250,000 fry next year, and 250,000 year after that. So what that means is, I'm sure we'll be able to introduce pickerel into a lake that didn't have any and prove our concept works. So 75 adult fish, well, I'm tingling now. 75 adult fish got in this lake right now, and we had 0 casualties. And had we have had over 5 casualties, none. And we had 0. We have videos of the fish swimming away in the new lake. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. This year, operations went phenomenal. We had fish unbelievable in size. The one fish came in 30 years old, roughly.
What lake is it in?
You can't fish it for.
I don't want to be in the lake with it.
Well, that fish swam back to Armour.
Oh, gosh.
It goes in deep water.
Okay.
Unless you're scuba diving, you won't see it.
Okay.
Its mouth was this big.
Here, stop.
I'm the same.
Anyways,
Legs pink.
we had a lot of volunteers.
Swimming thing.
A lot of volunteers this year. We involved a lot of younger generation fish ticklers, and whatnot. It's the new buzzword. Everybody says, well, how do you get the eggs out of the fish? So I come up, well, you just tickle their belly, and one thing leads to another. So we'll just leave it like
It's a
that.
thing now.
And
can buy
a
yourself-
lot of Facebook, a lot of videos, and we're getting donations donated to us, and it's really helping us out immensely. Our bank accounts is
That's awesome.
awesome right
That's
now.
awesome,
Just
Sherry.
makes you tingle. We purchased this past year, we bought a brand new stainless steel tank, put in the hatchery. It's worked awesome. It's 3 different levels. Marie designed it, and Triple M in Huntsville built it for us at a low cost. Yeah, for anybody to go out and buy that somewhere else, it would scare you. But it's working flawlessly. The problems we had last year reoccurred this year, and by having this and being able to chart temperatures of the water, we finally figured out that 8 degrees is too much of a change on fish eggs, and you'll lose some. So we had a quota of 5 million eggs, and we're pretty sure we're gonna have 4 million hatch. Right now, they've all changed color. They light up, and we had one little tiny guy hatch today. So that means tomorrow morning could be an exciting day, or the day after, or the day after that. So if anybody's got a few spare minutes, just pop down, have a look. 9 o'clock in the morning, we open the trailer up, and it's pretty awesome to just see the process live and see how small they are. But we're making a difference, and we're pretty proud of it. We've got people from Manitoba conversing back and forth. They have a hatchery there. They're a native group, but nowhere as neat as what we got. And the one young lad, his dad's a biologist, he says. So they show, we see the pictures of what they're doing, and my gosh, we could help you out. So we keep communicating back and forth. So it's all good. And like the recognition, we didn't realize how many people are paying attention. It's unbelievable. Just unbelievable. A doctor was in today. He's a OR surgeon in Toronto. He came there with his kids, grandkids. The jar sponsors. We sponsor jars. So yeah, he's just so excited about what we're doing. So good. It's a good news story.
I meant to mention the day camp would like to either have the trailer brought up or work out going down for one of the outings.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is we're being asked to go abroad quite a bit now. We've been asked to go to Foley Fair. That's the same time as Perks Falls. We may be able to fit that in. We're asked to go to Commanda. So we want to go up there because that's just on the outreach of everywhere. But we like to go where there's other community groups, like rod gun people or Lions clubs or agriculture societies, whatever. We got to reach out.
Are you coming to Heritage Day?
Yes, a long time ago, I was told. Nana asked me.
That's good.
We're the first ones.
You're all booked. You've got day camps, you've got Heritage Day.
Excellent.
That's good. Thanks, Chair.
Yep.
Other reports? The only one on, went to phone them for Monday, Tuesday last week, and Dorothy was there for Tuesday night, Wednesday. It was good, actually. There was some, KPMG did a really good talk about the trouble you can get into when you don't put your taxes up enough. It was interesting. So they were focused, I mean, it's focused on mainly inflation. If you don't trend with inflation, you're gonna have problems. They had the nightmare story of Orange County down in the States that they went bankrupt, actually. But different reasons in the US, they have a different system, but it was good. And IESO was there, so I called them out a bit because they were talking about applications for things like BESS systems. And I just said, you know, we're a small municipality and we're kind of a huge amount of staff time and a lot of confusion around what this is all about. And IESO, you guys are kind of invisible here. So they reached out to me today and provided some more information. It wasn't overly helpful, but it's the stuff we've seen before. But to me, they should be more in the forefront and not leaving it to companies like Solar Bank, because I just said to them, I said, we don't know Solar Bank, and they're not a government agency, they're not affiliated with Hydro One or anything, or IESO. So it's up to us to figure out if they're telling us the truth or not. And I said, there's huge backlash in the community because there's so much misinformation.
Yeah.
Anyway, they did reach out after, phone them and followed up, but.
Somebody mentioned, perhaps, I'm sorry that I didn't take notes, I don't recall exactly, something regarding democracy. So you put it out to the ratepayers, a municipality did it locally regarding almost the exact same thing as the BESS system. So you have the ratepayers immediately give input on what they think is best, so not like not like either we have best or we don't, but these are your options. Everybody gets to kind of vote on where it would be best, how it would be best suited. There was a municipality that was very successful. I believe it was quite way up north. But I'll find out exactly something democracy is the strategy they used. And it was all voted on.
So they did more public engagement.
Absolutely, and the public made the decisions rather than us. The public made all of the decisions on how it was going to be moved forward. And then they also, then the public also benefited rather than who's winning outside of Solar Bank.
Yeah,
Right?
But right now, the public's not engaged, other than a bunch of people.
With
engaging
concerns
them.
against it, yeah, so
You have to do it a little more professional, I think.
And so that was the system they used. I can't remember the municipality. I will find out. But it sounded like it went it was very successful for their community, and they actually, I guess they wanted 10 areas to agree to it, and they ended up with like 25 areas that reached out to them wishing this service, as opposed to us where we're like, please accept this,
Yeah.
right?
So they're getting the right information.
Absolutely, and not only the right information, but meeting instead of saying we've got this piece of land and this is exactly where we're doing it, they kind of worked out what would be best for everybody, right? So.
Because the presentation that they did, they were talking about not just best, they were talking about a whole bunch of things, but they were basically saying the usage by 2050, the usage of electricity is going to go up 75%. So where's it coming from? And here are a bunch of options that we have to try. So it makes sense logically, but if we don't have that information presented to us and the public doesn't have it, then all you're gonna get is the pushback.
Yeah.
So anyway, as I say, they reached out to me. They provided some information, but it's not stuff, it's probably all stuff I've already seen before.
Maybe they'll just get a nuclear reactor instead.
Well, it's so interesting that I was sitting beside the mayor, so Ann from Segment and I, we've talked aerodromes in the past, because she had an issue. And they are looking at huge growth up in Segment, just outside of Perrystown. And they want to put a small nuclear facility in there to power it all. It makes sense, but she said the pushback already is unbelievable. So how do you go about that kind of discussion? It's one thing with a BESS, but with a nuclear facility.
I think Ford just announced something like that.
Yeah.
Today.
Well, they're pushing hard. They're gonna push hard on it, so.
They also talked about the capsules, and is it nuclear capsules? Like one capsule will give electricity to a house for a year, and then they can put up to 5 capsules per buried in the ground. I think that's what the democracy thing was about, where they wanted them buried.
Maybe, that might have been nuclear too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Doing a new hydroelectric dam up around Timmins.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There was another group that talked about that during the program, so it was a pretty good session. Okay.
Oh, sorry, it's called Deliberate Democracy.
Deliberate Democracy, okay. Let's take a break till 9:05. We've still got a whole bunch of stuff to get through, but we'll take a break and grab some sustenance. Yep. All right, so we've got a bunch of correspondence and some resolutions along the way. First one is from Sunridge. Council of Township of Armour support the village of Sunridge and urges the province of Ontario to recognize the current crisis in seniors housing and aged care. And further, that the province be called upon to increase investments in the development of new seniors and aged care housing, support the expansion of existing facilities and programs, provide targeted funding and planning support for rural and small municipalities to meet local demand, and work collaboratively with municipality service providers and stakeholders to develop long-term sustainable solutions. Dorothy, second, Rod, all those in favor? Carried, support Sunridge. Next up is from Champlain. Council Township of Armour support Champlain Township and calls upon the government of Ontario to increase surveillance and spot checks of all heavy vehicles traveling on Ontario roads, as well as monitoring the testing standards maintained by privately owned heavy licensing facilities. Mover,
Sure.
Dorothy. Seconder,
Yeah.
Rod again. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Next one comes with a donation amount. Last year, we donated $750, if I recall, correctly, $750. Council of Township of Armour approve a donation to the Women's Own Resource Center in the amount of blank to support their core programming and initiatives in our community. The mover can suggest an amount.
I'll move to same as last year, $750.
$750, okay.
The only thing is, do we know what the per capita is this year? It was $14.59. Is it the same?
Be the same.
Okay.
Roughly, yeah. We have Wendy moving at $750. Dorothy. All those in favor? Donation is carried. Next one's from Almegwin Pride. Council Township of Armour supports the request from Almegwin Pride and agrees to fly an electronic pride flag on the electronic sign in front of the township office for the month of June. The mover, Dorothy. Seconder. Wendy.
We did this last year.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, it wasn't we didn't have the flag up solid for the whole, we couldn't put a flag on the flagpole because whatever, so we decided to use the sign, but we did still advertise other things on the sign, right? It wasn't just
Yeah.
solid. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that was,
Slide, yeah.
okay, it was just gonna be part of,
At any
okay.
given time, there could be 7 to 10 to.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that the impression wasn't that it was going to be solid flag for the month of June. So, okay, perfect.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. This one's from Hope Air. This one, there's no donation on this one, right? No, okay.
No, just declaring Hope Air Day.
Okay, whereas access to healthcare is a fundamental right for all citizens regardless of their geographic location, whereas Hope Air, a charitable organization, has been tirelessly dedicated to providing access to healthcare by facilitating free flights and other services for patients living in rural and underserved communities in Ontario. Excuse me, whereas Hope Air has been instrumental in bridging the gap between smaller communities and hospitals far from home. Whereas the impact of Hope Air extends beyond the individual patients served, positively affecting families, communities, and the healthcare system as a whole by promoting wellness, reducing the burden of untreated medical conditions. Whereas the compassion, dedication, and commitment demonstrated by Hope Air and its volunteers embody the spirit of community and belief in inherent value of every individual's well-being. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed Township of Armour that June 6, 2025 shall be known as Hope Air Day in recognition of the invaluable contributions made by Hope Air to the health and well-being of individuals in Ontario's remote and rural communities. Jerry and Dorothy. All those in favor? That's carried. Two-page resolution. The rest. Oh, there's one more. Ontario government announcements, 28, 29, 30. Aurelia, excuse me, Aurelia selected for the 2026 Ontario Winter Games. They had the Ontario Senior Games last year. Moving ahead on new emergency preparedness. Federal election results. And the new MRI has arrived in Huntsville at the Muskoka Algonquin Healthcare, so pretty exciting news as well. This donation, oh, that's further on, that's under new business, okay. So I think that's it for correspondence. Down to unfinished business. So first up, we have a staff report for the food truck lease at Doe Lake Park. Sure, it's pretty straightforward, but any comment you want to make?
Just for information, to let you know that we are advertising
So it's just open until somebody
on the website.
looks for it. It's not like, it doesn't have a closing date or anything.
So, what I'll make a note here just to have a staff pick that up and make sure they're sharing it across the Explore All Night socials.
Okay. So basically informational, Sharon. 7:38. Okay, next is the zoning bylaw amendment for multiple sewage systems per lot.
This has not gone to circulation yet. This is an opportunity, as mentioned, when we authorized Bob to draft the zoning bylaw amendment for you guys to take a boo at it, provide comments, and if you would like any changes. Otherwise, Kayla will be circulating tomorrow.
Okay.
Or Thursday.
So this is most of the stuff that Doug had talked about with, it's only for lots bigger than 2.5 acres.
Right, and Bob's supportive of it.
So that's informational as well.
Unless you want changes.
Unless you want changes.
Yeah, I'd like to see that he had, like, the lots have to be above the high water mark and not designated floodplain and wetland protection. I was glad to see that was in there.
Actually, North Bay and Mattawa said it didn't matter.
Sorry.
At a meeting I was at years ago, yeah. We're in very sound way.
Well, there's, on Peckrell Lake, we have a lot in certain areas of
Yeah.
very raised beds.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the lot will be very low and then there'll be this great big, and it's a race up.
It totally makes sense to be above high water.
Yeah, they have to be.
Absolutely. Because I know other people that have it in spring of the year, they don't flush.
Yeah.
So. Because they can't, it is set.
Go. There's nowhere to go.
So,
Okay, oh, I almost forgot this is coming up. District Paracel Municipal Association meeting Friday, May 23rd. Think I put my name in already.
Yeah, you and I.
Yeah.
And Jerry.
I don't know how you guys can do those when they serve those great big lunches and then they want you to sit through an afternoon and morning. Like it's like a roast beef dinner or turkey dinner.
you don't eat for a week.
Yeah.
Last time I
Wear
was,
belts and sit like.
Still gotta drive home.
last time I drove and Jerry told me story, it was story time with Jerry all the way home.
That'll keep you going, yeah.
Yeah. Can I ride with you, Jerry?
We're in calendar for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And next is information from Tulloch around the North Pickle Lake Road Bridge replacement construction.
These letters were hand delivered to residents within the direct impact area.
Oh, good, okay.
Just in case the mail has a strike.
Yes. Well, to make sure that they were well aware.
Yeah.
And it's on our website as well.
And there's probably not that many people, is there?
He didn't say.
And it's been popping up on Facebook and everywhere too.
Yeah.
I've seen those a few times. Okay. New business. We have our annual donation for the Omega Highlands Secondary School. Last year we gave $300. So again, whoever can suggested amount, Council Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Omega Highlands Secondary School to support their graduation awards program.
Yeah.
Okay, Jerry says 300. And I saw Dorothy's hand as well. You're good with 300, Dorothy?
We upped it last year, if I remember correctly.
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Mhm.
Close enough. The time flies when you get old.
It used to be 150.
Yeah.
And then we increased it during COVID, asking them to split it between 2
Oh,
kids,
between two, that's right.
but they don't.
No, last year they gave it to the one girl.
Are you going to go again and hand it?
Okay, I'll probably go, but it's awkward because I thought I was gonna probably go in, they'd go in, they'd do the presentation and I'd come up to the stage and shake her hand or whatever. And instead they meet, everybody has to meet in the lobby. They take a quick picture of the hand or the check. She didn't even know she was getting it. So she's going, what? Like she had no idea what was going on. And then I left. Cause they didn't want me in the ceremony. They just wanted me in the hall.
It reads like you're going to, yeah, you're scheduled in the evening to donors to join at
It didn't
16.
really work out the way I envisioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 6:15 is the pictures, photo op and whatnot, 7
And then
o'clock, right.
get the politicians out.
Thanks for the money.
We requested a speaking part.
That's right.
Ross, there's.
Announce it as they cross the stage that they've received it.
They received it.
Is
They
Logan,
pull the bleachers out, so there's nowhere. for you to
There's no
sit,
room. But the look on her face was probably, she had no idea she was getting this.
Yeah.
And here's this weird politician guy coming up and handing her a check. She's going, I don't know what's going on. It was kind of funny. But I'll go again if it makes sense. So 300, we have a mover and a second. Are all those in favor? And that's carried. Forty-two is the MPAC financial statements. I'm sure everyone went through those with a fine tooth comb. Pretty big numbers.
I don't recall it ever being on the agenda before.
No, I don't think we've ever seen it.
I don't know if John ever gave it to you.
No.
I don't remember getting it before.
Oh, no?
No.
Is that supposed to come on our website?
It's a big organization.
Mhm.
I don't think we need to put it on our website.
Good.
Yeah.
They were at Fonum too. They did a bit of a talk.
Yeah, they usually are.
Gonna wait for another round of assessments to kick in. Let's see. Okay, 43. So Kojiko is back because they actually came to meet with us, it was 2.5 years ago. And they were all gung ho. And so is this, it's on again?
Yeah, so they're basically they wanted to get they had reached out to us to get on to the one window program for approvals and permits for installing their infrastructure. So we had some concerns based on some other feedback that we'd received from other municipalities that Shar actually forwarded over to me. I mean, this is the coverage map that they're rolling out is pretty substantial and it will be a huge benefit to residents. Some of the concerns that we had were, is it going to be an iterative and communicative process? You know, when these builds or when the construction is taking place. So we were able to hop on a conference call with myself and Dave to ensure that there was adequate communication with the contractors that are installing it, just to make sure that we're not going to run into any issues, and then we can identify any problems in real time as we move things forward. So the project leads, we have all the contacts now for all the project leads, and Dave has access to go in and review permits for construction. We don't really have a municipal permitting process, so this kind of stands in that gap. Charlene and I are both able to review those permits as they come in, which would probably just result into calling Dave and saying, can you say that again in English? And from there, Dave will have we'll be able to communicate with him. And one of the biggest things with Dave is, you know, what's the process if we encounter a deficiency? You know, how do we get a hold of the construction team and make sure they come back and fix it in short order? And how do we make sure that we're not, you know, the one municipality, they had hydro lines down one side of the road, and then they installed all new poles to run fiber services like in a big fielded area. So now you have poles running down both sides, and we'd like to make sure that we're
They
not.
weren't even straight, they were.
Well, that was prior to completion, like when I read further, like those weren't, the installation wasn't finished. The poles were just resting in the holes.
Yeah.
It looked way straighter in the last picture when they had all of the wires attached to them, but,
Because it was farmland and there's heavy equipment going on both sides and you had all these hydro lines running through.
Yeah, how do you-
These lines running on both
So
sides.
this is all pole based, it's not in ground or?
so they are going to be doing some, they say they use a combination, like they want to use existing infrastructure poles as much as possible, bellows most of the poles, most of the way out there. That's traditionally been not an easy process to go through to get all of those approvals, and usually you're paying pole fees and it's pretty cost prohibitive. So they will be trenching some, and they wanted to directional drill some as well. So Dave said, like having an interim process is crucial to make sure that we'll know our roads.
Yeah.
And we know what our standards are for you guys putting your services in. So we'd like to make sure that we keep everybody straight on it. But I mean, overall, as I mentioned on the call, I said, like, I would love to have as much information as possible about this because this is a great news story for our township and many other areas. But a lot of people have been screaming for good broadband for quite some time. And this coverage map, I think, shows a very promising result for most people along most of our major corridors.
On the other side of the highway though.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether that was just where they zoomed in on that
I'm
portion.
just like, once again, I'm left out.
And so that was, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. So once we get all the permits in and we review them, there is a process for us, for boots in the ground, to say, hey, we should really consider putting something in over here because there's a large cluster. And when prior to their installation, they will have reps from Cogeco dropping off information at all the residences along the way to make sure that people know that they can sign up or get pre-signed up for when the switch is flipped. So there are mechanisms for us to give feedback and say, hey, Councillor Blakelock lives right here.
That's right.
Unless you want him showing up at your meetings.
So what's the timeline for this?
So there's no, like, they're starting some of the projects this year that they're gonna roll. I'm not sure whether they're anticipating substantial completion by the end of 2025, but this is gonna start rolling really quickly.
When Lakelands was doing fiber and Katrine, I asked him about coming across up to 3 Mile.
Yeah.
And the guy, it was Brock, I think, he said, the problem is they can't get across the railway tracks easily. He says the cost of going across the railway tracks and doing all the permits and everything, he says, so that's why we stopped there.
Is that right?
So they stayed on the other side and did Ferguson Road, went up the back.
Was Marina saying $1 million or something?
Yeah, just to get a road across.
Should have told them to hop and drop.
That's right.
Just send it from one, you can do that wirelessly. That's what they do in Archipelago. They run fiber underground up to a pole, they send it across to the next island, they drop it back.
And they go back down again.
Yeah. That's from my blue sky meeting days. That's what they use to get it out there.
Well, it'll be exciting if it does take off this year. It would be great to see. You're right, it would be a good news story for the area for sure.
But we had it in our old lease agreements to help promote broadband expansion by X%. And even though this isn't us, there was a lot of flack around, how everything got moved to the Ontario Infrastructure Ontario versus the other model that the ICTNs like Blue Sky and all them were trying to push for. So there was some dissent, we'll say.
Oh, for sure.
But it's, at the end of the day, to see it rolling out in Armour Township, I think is a win for Armour Township. So
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Next up is proclamation of Public Works Week. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and public health, high quality of life, and well-being for the residents of Armour Township. Whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, operating, improving, protecting our township's transportation and other structures and facilities. Where it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the township of Armour to gain knowledge of and to maintain progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs. Whereas 2025 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Now therefore, Council Township of Armour do hereby proclaim May 18th to 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week in the Township of Armour. Mover. Dorothy moves that. Seconder. Sure. Rod. All those in favor? And carried. Staff report, temporary liquor sales. This is for liquor sales outdoors during the baseball tournament weekend in July. Resolution is Council Township of Armour approve the expansion of the liquor sale license of the Katrine Community Center on July 4th, 5th, and 6th, 2025 for the Katrine Family Baseball Tournament to include the concession stand and the fenced-in pavilion located at 6 Browns Drive, Katrine, next to the ball field. Okay, I have Dorothy and then I got Jerry. Any questions on this one? All those in favor? Carried.
That's me.
Oh, you're one.
Staff report. Okay, so the last two items for new business were the Katrine Doe Lake Road speed enforcement discussion. Don't know that there's nothing in here on that, right?
No, it's just a discussion. Rod had come into the office and requested to be put on the agenda. I have put a post on Facebook regarding it. It's been shared and it's been well received. And then with Dave talking to me about getting the sign for the.
I saw the post about the like quads or golf carts, but I didn't see one about the speed.
It's in there too.
Oh,
Yeah, and it addresses parking along with the beach and
okay.
share the road sort of.
So where are we, if and when we get this, where are we thinking it's gonna go? Because I did read some comments about a business being on two sides of the road.
So
And they had to respect that it was a road.
What Dave was speaking to is that we have to choose where, we have to be careful where we put it, because if we put it in one spot, then somebody else is gonna basically call up and say, I want one in front of mine. And that's why he said the community safety zone, sort of like what they've done at Land of Lakes, we've designated a certain area as a community safety zone, and that's where it will go.
The thing is, though, our community safety zone goes from Katrine, where Katrine Road meets Ferguson or Doe Lake Road.
Yeah.
And then all the way around Ferguson Road, down past the beach, like that one won't do the whole community safety zone.
But
But
Dave
could-
will find the best.
Could we
one.
not put it in one location for a number of weeks and then move it to another location?
I like Dave's idea of putting it on a trailer.
Yeah.
Literally, like, move it daily if you want to.
We were also gonna discuss like. I'm sure social media works good, but I thought in my head, we were gonna send something out or ask somebody to go to the campgrounds in particular and post something, because those that are, the people that are there today know what the problem is. It's the people that come up for the holidays.
Yeah.
They don't read it's online.
Yeah.
So they're at the campground. I thought we should put somebody should go around to the campgrounds and say, like, post this.
Like your patrons need to know, yeah.
Yeah, just these are municipal roads. They're not the campground.
Even Airbnbs. Like there's a few campgrounds, but there's
Yeah.
also a few Airbnbs around the water.
I just thought we were gonna do it a little bit more concentrated on what I see the problem is the campground. A few free B&Bs, but I mean, the majority of the people are coming from campgrounds, going to campgrounds.
Mhm.
So if we hit them with, hey, let your patrons know these are roads, they're not trails, or highway traffic acts will be enforced.
So will like golf carts are used constantly on the roads. Will it be enforced? Like that's up to the police, right? That has nothing to do with
Okay.
us.
I'm adamant, if we have a problem, we have to deal with it. Putting speed limits doesn't deal with the problem. If the police say, well, it will charge you, if we have to go down there and police it, will charge us. I think we have to deal with it. You're not gonna deal with it with any other way than enforcement.
So when we discussed it, what I can do is send an email to the staff sergeant. Just
Yeah.
he will come to one of our meetings and we can address the concern.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And as far as the sign, we'll ask Dave to look into putting it on a trailer.
Smart thing to do.
Because if that wasn't a problem.
I think that's perfect, because then if we recognize that this area is no longer really an issue, but we still have people, flying by the beach or something.
Yeah.
It's an easy
And he
solution.
says it's recorded, so we can provide that information to the police as well.
Yep.
Derek told me, he said it's a traffic count, it does everything, it tells you the time of the day, and he said, the downfall is, it's a 2-digit thing, he said, I forgot how many hours, he said, somebody had it 99, somebody wanted to see what it would go to.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be very dangerous to be doing 100 down parts of Ferguson Road.
Well, 100 kilometers past the Land O'Lakes.
That's a straightaway.
Oh, yeah, okay, but it just, for people, Derek pointed out, just how quickly somebody tried to max it out,
Testing the system.
what it'll go to.
Didn't Keith have one of those traffic counters there last year and somebody on a dirt bike was doing over 100? At one of the
Yes.
campgrounds?
Yeah.
That's right.
See Blue Sky has counters.
Yeah.
We'll wait for Dave to get back to us on the signage, but if we could reach out to the OPP. Is it still Doug? He's still.
Yes.
Okay. We haven't seen Doug for a while, so it's probably good to have him come in. All right, and next is agenda items for the Tri-Council on May 26th.
I already covered that while you guys were chatting. About it earlier when you got on the subcommittee.
We should talk.
Yeah, we did get on that.
So what I have is, request that the property located at the corner of Peggs Mountain Road and Ferguson Road, draft fire services agreement, the new library build, including ownership and contributions from the library board, and the informal tri-council subcommittee meetings be topics of discussions.
What about timelines? Is it, like, we can discuss it, but if we don't have a timeline,
Timelines for what?
what are we gonna, we know we're going to work on the fire hall this year. Are we concerned about a library build this year or next year? That's what I mean, is a timeline, like,
For the library.
And you said that Berks Falls has said that the piles, right?
Mhm.
But Ryerson and us have tabled it. Do we want to come to an agreement or a disagreement on
I don't want to do any of them piles.
that? I don't either, right? But if we're all just waiting, we're,
That could be part of it.
yes, yeah.
But I agree, timelines is important, because I do think I get the sense that there's some municipalities feel that the library might be a 5 to 10 year project.
I'd like to know that up front. Like when you sit at the library board, they're panicking because it needs to get done before next month. Well, the library board needs to know what the timelines actually are.
But as a council, we need to discuss what our timelines are too.
Yep, well, that's what I mean, we need to move it forward, and I think that what are you spending, where are we spending it, or how are we spending it, and when are you gonna spend it?
I think we need to move it forward or we don't, but we need to agree that it's either happening in 2026 or happening in 2027 or not happening, or we're not doing these, but if we're not, we're not. But we
Nice to
should go
know.
from there, yeah.
Well, the nice thing now too is in Tri-Council, if we start going in circles, we can just say, this needs to go back to the other committee and they need to nail this down.
Yeah.
And we can just stop the discussion
Move on,
and move on to the next thing. Instead of just going round and round and round.
Now that we've approved, like once all of the communities approve or all the municipalities approve these minutes, I mean, they're in our agenda packages for the public now anyway. And that was the idea, is that at least that was a consistent communication from, you know, kind of from the subcommittee on behalf of input gathered at the council meetings. So there could be some, so at least that way there, the library board sees in the same language that all of us see what kind of, where some of the hang up points are, right? Because I don't even think that there's a clear message to the library board on what some of the hang ups are. Why isn't this
Well,
moving
this is
forward?
it. And if the message isn't consistent, it becomes divide and conquer.
Right.
Because they go to one municipality, they don't hear what they want, so they go to the next one. So this would be
What I
black and white. This is what was said at that meeting and this was what was
Yeah.
decided.
Well, I think, you know, we had a staff report with a resolution that went out shortly after our last tri-council meeting, and we have one municipality has provided a decision and the other two that have not, and I understand why there hasn't been a decision, but I don't see the project moving any further forward until we have a sense of where we can go with things. And again, I don't think we have a sense of where we go with things until we determine what ownership looks like. That's a pretty critical piece.
Yeah.
And so
Who's driving?
if you've got some municipalities looking at the library board to say, well, where's your bag of cash or
Yes.
where's all your funding support? And realistically speaking, you know, going through the funding, and this is no slight on anybody at the library board, but I mean, if are they experienced grant writers? Do they have the, you know, they're gonna need municipalities to stand in as the lead applicant for anything that they're doing. So to turn around and say, well, did you write the grant applications to get all the money? Well, it's maybe possible that whether it be the NOHFC or any other grantor is going to work with the library board as a municipal corporation. But I think they're gonna need resolutions of support from, like, there needs to be a consistent united front regardless of who's applying for it.
Right.
You need letters of resolutions and commitments from the other parties who are committing, all of these things. The library board doesn't have that at this stage of the junction. We have some resolutions saying we'll kick in this much, we'll kick in this much. But I mean, to the province, it's like, okay, so they're all like, okay, I got 5. You
Yeah.
got 5?
Yeah.
I got some change, you know, and so I think realistically that the storytelling needs to be cleaned up a heck of a lot. In order to do that, there have to be some decisions and directions set. I don't think it's up to Armour, even as the project lead, to say, okay, give me that decision. We're figuring out like to push that through. I think that whether whether a representative or 2 representatives of the library board need to come and to one of these meetings, you know, one of the next subcommittee meetings, and so we can have the conversation and see where they're at with things and at least all get on the same page together. But we do need a consensus from the municipalities on which way do we want to go?
Yeah.
Do we want to entertain ownership? If that's the case, what authorities do we have to grant? If we don't want to do that, then what's the project going to look like? So.
Did you write all that down?
I did, I glazed over it. I already had it written down, he was just
We
reading.
record the meeting now.
I summarized it.
Probably got an AI system.
Perfect, okay. The legal contract, very different.
We have a closed session. The council township Armour hereby moved into closed session at 9:40.
Do we, oh,
I will wait until the resolution's passed.
Under section 2392B of the municipal act to discuss personal matters about an
Thanks, Isabel.
identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And move it. Wendy seconded. Those in favor? We're in close. Okay, we are now closed. Council of Township of Armour hereby approves the extension of benefit coverage for John Terrell until 31 December 2025. And that staff be authorized and directed to provide Ontario with written notice of the benefit termination at least 30 days prior to the effective termination date. And that the consulting contract with John Terrio dated November 19th, 2024 be terminated effective December 31st, 2025. 2005, in accordance with the required notice provisions. Who wants to move that, Peter? Seconder. Okay.
thanks a lot, Terry.
All those in favor? Okay, carry. That one's done. Anything else we want to talk about? Council Township of Armour adjourns this regular council meeting at 10:23 PM. The next regular council meeting scheduled for May 27, 2025 at the council call of the mayor or the clerk. Remember, Dorothy, seconder. Rod, in favor? No, that's a little. Thanks, folks.